always say that the day that it becomes easy to say goodbye is the day that we should quit. Because really, the children deserve us to become attached to them, to fall in love with them, to love them as our own. They deserve that.
It's not just the child you're bringing in, you're going to be alongside the family or the parent that's trying to get that child back.
We lived in Alexandria, Virginia, which is near Washington, D.C. And so that's where we were first licensed as a foster family. We served as a foster family there for 9 years. And over that span of time, we had 9 kiddos. 2 of those are our sons who stayed with us and joined our family through adoption. And then at the end of our time in Virginia, God called us to serve for 2 years in Mexico.
We just asked ourselves, okay, we're nearing the end of our time in Mexico. We're gonna go back to the States. So, but where do we go? And we're thinking, well, where do they need foster parents? And Texas happened to be the state that needed the most. And so we said, okay, so Texas, where in Texas? And Dallas, Fort Worth area was one of those places that was recommended.
So we researched and we really connected with the mission and the vision that Buckner had.
Working with Buckner, first of all, we've experienced kind of a level of support that we haven't had before, which is fantastic.
That calling that God initially gave to us and put on our hearts, it has been so beautiful over these past 13 years to see how he has fulfilled that. And sometimes it has looked like children being able to reunify with their birth families. But truly the most powerful and important piece to that calling that we've seen over these years was that healing that came from them accepting Christ, learning about who Jesus was, and being restored to him.
God has a plan for individuals, for families, and families that are going through a tough time. There could be, salvation at the end of their suffering or whatever, So we have to trust that God is going to bring them back together for a purpose. Being foster parents, that's our first goal, is to try to work with the family, strengthen them, build them up, encourage them so that their family can come back together.
So I think the hardest part of doing foster care is also one of the most important lessons that we've learned. And that is to be able to trust God with all of our children. It's trusting that God has good plans for that boy or girl, and that he loves them more than we could ever. While it's nice to think of adoption as this beautiful picture perfect thing, it's not. It's messy and it's hard. It's still beautiful, but it's messy and it's hard. And I think it's the same with foster care, that when God calls us to do things, he often doesn't call us to do the easy things.
We're just believers, God's the real hero, because he's the one who allows us to do any of this, Well, I'd be too scared. Or I wouldn't want to step out and do that. He's had our back.
If we took the credit, we would be doing a huge disservice to God. He has done from the beginning to currently, and we know in the future, he is the true hero in all of this. And everything that has gone right is because of him.